Hello. So I woke up early this morning, like stupid early, and I woke up because I was having a bit of a horrible dream. And this dream was that I was stepping onto a stage and I froze. I literally did not have any words to say. It's my worst nightmare. But instead of, like I like to do, analyze the dream sort of in those few moments when you wake up, I did something that everybody does. I reached over to my phone. I reached over for a bit of a scroll. You know, the doom scroll. I started with Substack, started reading some really cool things there, and then some stuff that was completely nonsensical. As I was scrolling along, this voice came up inside of me, which was, stop what you're doing. And I decided to ignore that. And I carried on. And what I ended up noticing in my scroll was a common theme. This theme was around certain words, labels, the way we like to describe ourselves. We all do it. What was there when I carried on scrolling was these subjects that kept coming up time and time again. Now, whether it's the algorithm that is serving these up for me, because these are the types of things that I read, I do not know. But it was women-focused content that was everywhere. So it was anything from women and oxytocin, giving birth, spirituality, God everywhere, many people finding God. There's no judgment here, by the way. But this repetition around having the label of being a spiritual woman, a healer, a medicine woman, being a conscious woman, and even being a perimama, mum that's going through perimenopause. And all of these were being grouped in different categories. And it was like pattern repetition almost that was going through my algorithm. What I noticed in me as I was scrolling through was that I was being categorized, or I was choosing categories of people's content that I was choosing to read. Bear with me. And it opened up the question in me, because it's something pertinent that I will go into later, which is, what is this attachment that we have to a label? Like what I do for a living, what kind of person I am, how I can translate myself to other people, and how we all have this pull towards defining ourselves very clearly and putting ourselves into a box for a reason. The question that opened up for me was, in this thing about, a post going, where are my perimamas at? Or I'm a cosmic healer who will give you insight into your past lives, or whatever it is, I'm an accountant who will solve your issues in 3 seconds, like whatever it is. Why is it that we want to reach for a label so quickly? So there was that first question. And then the second question, which was, beyond that, in wanting to search for the thing, what is it in the name, in the definition, that we're actually looking for? I started looking at and journaling on it, actually, because that's what I do. But I looked at a label. What is a label? So much at the moment is I have ADHD, or whatever labels. You know what they are. You know what they are. You can stick them all on your face about all the different things. But essentially, I think when you have a label, it means that there's a sense of recognition, not only for you, but for the person or the persons who are in front of you. And having recognition, so people understand who you are, where you're at, what you stand for, means that for you, there's less aloneness in what it is that you're going through, what it is that you're living through. And I guess, and this is my opinion and my thoughts here, if we have this feeling of being less alone, it is because we're seeking belonging. We're wanting to belong to a group, to have shared experiences, and belonging to somewhere, to a group, means that we feel seen. People understand. I get that. I do it too. And we all do it. I think it's part of our human condition. At the center of this, what I came up with was that if behind the label there's this need to be less alone and or this desire to belong, there is a sense in us in wanting to feel home. And I don't mean home as some loose concept. I mean home as us wanting to find a truth that matches a truth that lives in us, that lives in the body. We've perhaps all been to groups or talks and hopefully, I mean, I do wish that for people, that we've attended some places where we couldn't put our finger on it, but something about the way a person talked, or something about the way that we were welcomed, or a practice that hit us quite deeply, moved us down to our core, because it touched a root. It touched the root of our home. Like, what's the truth inside of us? And I guess the reason I mentioned this, and I'm interested in this particularly, and I believe it's something that hits us all, is we all surely want to feel what it's like to be home. There's no place like home. Personally, my life experience on a physical level and on other kind of spiritual levels, etc., I have been different versions of me, whether it's, you know, the pretend actress, to the waitress, to the student, to the police officer, to the yoga teacher, to the mother, to all of these roles I've played, all of these reinventions, right up to now, moving countries. I was born in France, moved to England, stayed there 35 years. Last year, moved back to France, my home country, where my family is. All these ways that you become these different versions of yourself by putting these identity labels on, all these different ways that you adapt yourself are not only ways to cope and to find safety and alignment and happiness and joy, but ultimately I think that they are ways that help you to find what home it is to you. And the bigger question here is actually, well, where do I feel like myself the most? What are the environments which allow me to connect with my home within? For me, in this constant life quest of home and that directional north of home, the heart, safety, comfortable, nurturing, I find that place when I journal. I've been journaling for years now. I can hear myself again when I put pen to paper. Another way that I reconnect to the heart of the home is by practicing yoga nidra. And what was resonating to me as I was journaling on this subject was years ago, I was introduced to Yoga Nidra, and there was this phrase, which was, as we went into the practice, which was welcome home to yourself. And I don't think I fully really understood what that was. It was okay, now in this practice, I stop holding everything that I've been holding, all of the labels, all of the shoulds, all of the coulds, and I stop holding everything for a while, and I just am held in this space of home. And whilst I'm in this practice, I'm just going to zone in the liminal space and explore what that might be like. And sometimes the way that I practice feeling closer to myself, to my own home, is by creating the space to just be by myself. We're all human, and I understand the need to create identity and have words who describe who we are in order that we feel more connected. Not only the person who's finding the words to describe themselves, but also the person on the other side, so that they understand, so that we are in communication. But what we do, what I do, is I try to solve, like, what is that identity I've given myself? But what I think we have to do is just give ourselves a little bit of grace in understanding that if we notice this pattern of who am I today, what am I, then that's actually enough, because we're noticing ourselves from outside of ourselves. And I like the idea that we're looking to connect, we're looking for home, we're looking for a space where we can land and drop our shoulders, drop the weight of the world, where we can be ourselves. As I say this, I'm reminded of the author Ursula K. Le Guin, and she wrote The Journey is Return, and it is completely that. I think our whole lives are spent unpeeling when we're searching, obviously, when we're changing identities, when we're merging into something new. We are unpeeling these aspects of us which we feel don't belong to us anymore, because we are looking for a return to who we are. But I think that's beautiful, because the good news is what we are is never outside of ourselves. It's already in. It's already inside of us. So you are never far away from who you are. These practices, these tools you can have access to, whether it's belonging to a group where you feel you can explore these new things, they are opening you up to discovering more closely what you are aligned to in that particular time, and nothing is ever lost. And in a strange way, this morning's scroll, which infuriated me because I chose to ignore the voice that said, stop this scrolling now, actually helped me to find home. Because I am someone who is curious by nature and will question everything. I mean, 15 years as a detective, that will happen to you. But I think there's some cosmic, beautiful sense and meaning to the fact that I was led home by a scroll on the phone. So I hope this has helped, and that there's been some resonance in some of these examples, this story, these words. Do let me know what you thought in the comments. See you next time.